Hello everybody, how is everyone doing today? I hope you're doing well. And yes, it does feel good to be back, BWS. Now, I'm going to go jump into the room and join up the co-hosts. I can't speak. Boo.
Oh,
It's
wow, Nintendex.
me.
Whoa.
Hi, how you both doing, Shadowlink, Triss?
I am good.
Good.
I'm doing well.
Good. Well, we're live. Just gonna drop that out there. And we'll also be joined today by Phantom, who is just grabbing breakfast, apparently.
Nice.
So yeah, welcome to another episode of Good Morning Source Gaming. As I'm sure everyone is all aware from that little introduction, we're being joined this week by our good friend Triss from GameXplain.
Yeah. Hello. Ahoy. It's interesting how things come full circle sometimes.
Yeah, I know, right?
Once upon a time, I used to regularly be here.
I had that realization when I was setting it up, and I was like, "Oh, I haven't even got like a guest icon for Triss." I was like, in my mind, I had one, but like, no, it was the the old one, so I quickly put it together. But as Triss is obviously aware from previous ones, we always start this off by talking about what games we've been playing recently. And that hasn't changed. So, Triss, what have you been up to recently? What have you been playing?
I recently started the Pac-Man World repack, which I love the Pac-Man World games, so it was exciting to see that get announced, and it's fun that it's such a good feeling that it feels just like the original, basically. So getting that kind of nostalgia kick out of that. In between that, I've also been trying to finish my Xenoblade Chronicles 3 file. You know, getting affinity up everywhere, getting all the heroes maxed out. It's a long grind. I'm taking that one slow.
I just sort of decided to not bother with that anymore. Like, maybe I'll go at some point. I'll attempt like trying to do with the rest of the super bosses, using up-on coins to get the classes that I think will help out for certain characters. But I'm ready to move on now onto greener pastures. With Pac-Man, I've been meaning to play that. I haven't actually played the original Pac-Man world.
Okay.
So this playing the remake is like a new thing that I was interested in. But just kind of like Klonoa, I haven't had the chance to actually pick it up yet at all. So it will probably be like Mr. Driller, which I eventually picked up when it kind of went on sale and I grabbed it digitally. The same thing's probably going to happen to Klonoa and Pac-Man at some point. It'll be 50% off on the eShop, and I'll just be like, all right, now's the time. If I'm ever going to get it, now's the time. Did they put a demo out for Pac-Man World? Because they did for Klonoa, because I played the demo for that.
I don't think they put out a demo. I think it just kind of released, and then they have a demo at PAX.
Right, okay. Were you at PAX?
I was not, no.
Okay.
I am not on the West Coast. I went to PAX East when it was, out in Boston, because that's not too far from me. But flying out to West Coast for PAX in the middle of this seemingly potentially about to be busy season, or as I've been calling it, Nintendo's version of Summer Games Fest, didn't feel like a good idea.
the Fall Games Fest.
Yeah, at this point.
Right. So for me, I guess I see Matt has silenced himself. I guess he's eating breakfast. So I'll go next. For games I've been playing, I actually played and beat Captain Rainbow for the first time the other day.
Oh, okay.
Like the game has always been on my to-do list for ages. I got it in like 2017, and I knew about it long before then. But I've been recently working with someone on Captain Rainbow related content, and it got me thinking, now maybe it's the time I actually do give this game a try. So I went through a big kerfuffle of getting the translation patch, and it's not a 100% translation, so some of the flavor text just randomly comes up in Japanese. It's really random what is translated and what isn't. It must be how the game is set, because sometimes you get yes or no and it's translated, and sometimes it's not translated. So it still says hi in EA, and I don't know what in the game dictates which version of yes and no it's going to be using.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, but it was a fun game. I played through it all. It's very similar to Moon, if you've ever played that Moon Remix RPG.
Uh, no.
So Moon was like an anti RPG. Was the I guess the marketing they used when it first came out in the 90s. It was like a
Okay.
PS1 or Dreamcast game where the idea is that the main character is in like an RPG world, but isn't the hero in it. They've
Okay.
effectively been isekai'd into a JRPG, and the actual hero is running around fighting monsters and stuff as you do. But like you're seeing it from the perspective of someone who isn't the hero. So like these monsters haven't really done anything wrong. The hero is defeating them and killing them because they're monsters. But
Huh.
you have to go around and revive all the monsters that the hero has slain, basically.
That's fascinating, actually. Yeah, I've
Yeah,
never heard of this.
it's a really cool adventure game. Like it's sprite based, but it's got pre-rendered graphics. But then all the monsters are made out of claymation, so they look otherworldly. And
Ooh.
you've got loads of different areas with all these different NPCs, and it runs on like a Majora's Mask style clock, where
Okay.
like I think it runs on a 7 day version of the Majora. So there are 7 days in the week, and every NPC has its own like schedule that it sticks to every 7 days of the week. So some days this like knight, like every Wednesday evening, will sneak off when everyone else is asleep and practice like his Elvis impression effect, basically. And so if you want to do this game, you have to hear about this. You have to hear about noises on a Wednesday, and then on a Wednesday go to the thing and then follow him, make sure he doesn't see
Yeah.
you, and all this. It can be quite convoluted, but Captain Rainbow feels like a smaller version of that with Nintendo characters instead of just random NPCs. So I was surprised. I wasn't expecting it to feel like that, but it was fun. I thought it was a good game.
Nice. That is interesting.
Yeah. So that's pretty much what I have been playing recently. Yeah, I can't think of anything else. Like I said, I sort of stopped Xenoblade Chronicles, and I guess I restarted a bit of the Tomato Adventure stream, which people can find on the other channel, the Nintendo Chronicler. Which
Hmm.
that stream should nearly be done now. I think I'm nearing the end of that game. We had a fun stream the other day where the translator of the game appeared in the stream to chat
Oh,
about
that's
it,
fun.
and that was fun.
That's cool.
Yeah, but yeah, that's pretty much what I've been up to. What about you, Matt?
Okay, so the first thing is I dived back into Stardew Valley and lost control of my life. Um, yeah, every like 2 years I've been hopping back on that game and playing it again, like from the start.
Mhm.
And it's been 2 years, so
And I've never actually played Stardew Valley. I tried playing Harvest Moon / Story of Seasons again recently, and I don't know that game. I think it doesn't gel well with how I like to approach games because I try and do everything. And
I
that game
think
ended up just sort of stressing me out, running from one side of the map to the other to try and get to the shop before it closed and be there for specific events and all stuff like this.
Oh man.
I think Stardew is a little more approachable than that.
Doesn't Stardew have
And
fast travel in
also,
it?
it you can unlock it, yes.
Yeah, can't do that in
Uh,
Stardew Valley. I mean, Story of Seasons. Okay.
uh, the other big thing that I've been playing. So it's no secret that I'm a big fan of The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Um, and I had been for like a little while in the last year. I experimented with randomizers, mostly
Ooh.
Majora's Mask randomizer.
Mhm.
Um, but I decided in the last like month to give Ocarina of Time randomizer a try because I know where everything in that game is. The game is basically mapped out completely in my brain. I might as well put that knowledge to use.
Fair enough.
And I played 8 runs of the randomizer.
Wow.
And it became a kind of a slippery slope fallacy where I would say, yeah, this is the last one I'm doing. I'm just trying to practice because I want to maybe stream it. I don't know if anybody in the audience would be interested in watching an Ocarina of Time randomizer, but do let me know, and I might stream it on our Twitch channel.
Yep.
That sounds fun.
But I think on the 5th run, I was like, okay, this is going to be the last one. I think I know everything inside out, what I can do at certain points with certain items, and what would be fun to watch, because I did one run where I randomized all shops and tokens, and I realized quickly this is not going to be that fun to watch from a person who cannot do any glitches. Because basically, if you randomize every Skulltula token to be an item,
Oh man,
you gate off like half of the game behind the boomerang, which can be in God knows where. The boomerang was in the last possible place that I checked on the 5th time I played the game.
God.
Which was miserable because I thought I had turned off the location where that boomerang was.
oh,
Oh no.
But no, it turns out that it was just there.
I think something similar to me happened when I did my Link to the Past run. I remember about halfway through being absolutely stuck and no idea where this item was, and it was in the last possible place it could be on the map.
Yeah, I've dabbled in Wind Waker randomizers over the last year, and I ran into a similar problem on my second one that I did, where I, for the life of me, could not get a combat item. Any item that could actually help, because I stupidly decided, I'm going to do it where I don't start with the sword. And it was the last possible last possible place I could check that had the sword.
Oh god.
I wasn't getting any items that could help me with any sort of combat. Like, no, I don't want another Tingle statue.
Just running around beating people with this golden tingle.
But yeah, oh god. After the 5th one, I'm like, okay, this is my last one. And then I found out you can put custom music in the game.
Oh.
So I made a custom song, put it in the game, and it's all random, so I don't know if it's gonna play. It did not play that run, so I'm like, okay, I gotta do one more run. But also, I realized on the 6th run that the slider theme from Super Mario 64 was in the random pool of music, and I'm like, okay, I've got to get the slider theme in a really funny place. Because in that run, it was in the fucking Shadow Temple.
Oh god, that
like,
whole temple with the slider theme playing.
This has got to show up when, like, I fight Ganondorf or something. Now, Nantangix, I've provided you a video. I want you to show everyone where Slider played in the 7th run.
Alright, here we go.
I'm finally seeing it from stream now.
Yeah.
Oh my god, wait. That's hilarious.
Sliding into the Shadow Realm he goes.
Wow.
I watched this when you sent it to me, and I did not understand the context behind it. I was like, why did he put the slider theme over this? I'm sure he has a story he's going to tell. I didn't realize it was random music.
That's hilarious.
That
oh my
is
god.
funny.
The only other time I could think where it would be just as funny is if it played when Ganon's tower started to collapse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or just plays like when the Great Deku Tree is like giving one of the big exposition dumps. You know, the one with all the
Oh my
flames and
gosh.
Ganondorf's there, and it just plays that. It just plays it then.
It skips most of the cutscenes in the randomizers, so that's not an option. Yeah.
Right. But not this key pivotal one.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't skip any of the ending.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. Oh god, that's funny.
That is hilarious.
And
But yeah, after that, I did one more run just to familiarize myself more with
cleanse the
routing and
palette.
stuff.
Yeah.
And I used like a more up-to-date version because in order to get the custom music, you have to run a version from like a year ago offline.
Okay.
But there are more recent builds online that have like new features and stuff. Like Bunny Hood is on right D-pad, which is really good because you can turn on a setting to make Bunny Hood act like a Majora's Mask, so you go fast.
Oh, that's pretty good.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I was going to say, why is it on the right D-pad of all things? But I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, look who's here now. Look who showed up with his breakfast. Hey.
Morning, Swiss Gaming. Morning, Swiss Gamers.
How was the run for the shop? What did you get?
I'm baking egg and cheese on a croissant like any normal New Yorker would.
Hey. Well, I guess sausage, egg, and cheese, not a croissant, but yes, good.
I don't trust deli sausages. They're not the ones that I
That's
usually
fair.
like.
That's fair.
Also, what's up, Tris? It's been a while.
Yeah, been a while.
So we've just gone through all the games we've been playing, Phantom. So why don't you go up next?
I'm not done.
Oh, you're
I'm
not
not
done. Okay,
I-
that's almost.
I got a
So-
game over here.
I had been playing so much Ocarina of Time randomizer that my friends were worried for me. So I would enter Discord calls and be like, I don't know what to do. And everyone would yell at me, don't do it. So eventually I dabbled in the Wind Waker randomizer that Tris mentioned
Oh,
earlier.
yeah.
I turned on a lot of the settings. Most miserable experience of my life. I got I was going so far through that run without any items showing up. There are so many heart pieces in that fucking game.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Oh my god. Eventually I got the Tingle Tuner and I'm like, oh man, I can use Tingle Bombs to replace regular bombs. No! He refuses! He refuses to bomb stuff! You can only bomb enemies!
Oh god.
Yeah, it's weird.
That is pretty random.
I know why it is, because you get the Tingle Tuner way before you get bombs in the regular game, but it is so stupid. It is so
It
stupid.
really is.
So you can't use him for harming anything.
You can use him for hurting enemies. You
Okay.
cannot use it for breaking boulders and stuff.
Oh right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right. I see now. Oh god. Well, did you manage to complete the Wind Waker one?
No.
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 Well, now you got a new target.
There was one more funny thing that happened to me with Ocarina of Time random. Oh yeah, I got a unbeatable seed.
Oh,
Did you turn off the setting that makes sure you can at least beat it?
No, I was using a dev build, which is not
Oh.
guaranteed, like 100% completable, glitchless. The Lens of Truth was in Ganon's castle.
Oh.
I had to go through the entire Shadow Temple without the Lens of Truth, which isn't too big of an issue if you know where everything is, like I do. However, there's the final room in the Shadow Temple where you have to navigate a few platforms in order to get to the boss door. And those platforms are invisible.
Yeah.
I was going off of memory alone for sliding through that room.
God.
I did it first try, but it was one of the most stressful things I've ever done. Because I was like slipping, sliding, the hover boots activate. I'm like, oh shit, I gotta get back on the platform.
Oh my gosh.
Oh god. I hope nothing like that happens when I stream it. But if something like that happens when I stream it, I will beat it. I will overcome.
Overcome any challenge game throws at you. All this goofy randomizer stuff is reminding me of the time I did a randomizer of Sonic Adventure 2 battle.
Oh god.
Like I got it for PC, and I thought, well, if I'm going to play this game again, I may as well do something funky with it. So I decided to do a randomizer of it. But you can randomize everything in that game, including like the sound effects. So when I first put it on, I was like, yeah, let's randomize everything, and that meant like it would play a different noise from the game. It could be something from the OST, it could be a sound or anything. Every single time I jumped or did anything that would have a sound effect. And the background music is also sometimes just replaced with sound effects. So it'll play one sound effect and then won't play anything again for the rest of the level. And text would randomly pop up because it's randomized the text on what should actually show up. So every line that gets said in the game is just taken randomly from somewhere else, which means sentences make zero sense. It was absolutely chaos. I had to turn off the sound effect one for obvious reasons. But God, that was randomizers are fun.
Randomizers are pretty fun.
Yeah. Right then, Phantom, what have you been up to?
Work. No. Outside of work though, I haven't. I mean, I'm gonna list off games that I've played, but I haven't really been playing that many games. I was over at a friend's house, like 2 weeks ago now. I helped her set up her PS4 because her last one's busted up, and she got a new one like a few years ago. So her codes of like God of War and Horizon Zero Dawn are no longer active. But the physical The Last of Us remastered that came with it sure works. So but we played the Warriors adaptation game by Rockstar, which I had never seen that movie before. But the game was pretty good. And now I realize all the things that my parents reference is from that movie. We played Guilty Gear, Exard Rev 2. That was our first time playing Guilty Gear. What else did we play? Actually, we did a lot of movie watching, but we're not talking about movies. Then what else did I do? I actually have not been playing Xenoblade at all, even though I should be. The definitive edition. I just stopped for some reason. No particular reason why, other than the fact that I wanted to focus on drawing. So I kind of just halted any progress on playing my Switch at all until the Splatoon 3 Splatfest happened, and then I'm like, okay, I'm ready to play video games again. The Splatoon, we'll talk about the Splatoon 3 stuff later though.
Yeah.
But then I went back to Melody of Memory and picked up where I left off there. And I'm starting to realize that a rhythm game can really make you like the songs that you remember hating. Because that Alice in Wonderland music used to piss me off. Now, I after playing it in a rhythm game, I'm like, oh, this ain't too bad. This is fine. Always playing Strive as usual. I played in a multiversus tournament and got destroyed. Um, what else have I played? Played some Unbeatable, the demo, because the full game still isn't out yet, but the demo's still amazing. Uh, can't wait for that to come out. What else have I done? Um, oh, and I was over at a different friend's house. I lent her my PS2 while I was away at my friend's house, at my other friend's house. And when I came back, a friend of hers had left their copy of Kingdom Hearts 2. So we started a new
Oh, no.
save on her memory card because I didn't want to just start her off from like the from literally the final save point in the game. I think that's it. I don't. Yeah, I don't. Oh, and of course Fortnite. I'm getting victorized. Yeah.
It's been a bit round everywhere.
Yeah. Not. I haven't been sticking to what I really should be doing in the sense of like, oh, the games that I want to make videos about. So that's an L on me because now I'm still back on the fact that I have to do those things.
We're going to a friend's house and playing games reminds me that we started doing that again now that COVID is over. Sort of
yeah.
over, I guess. Not
In quotes.
in quotes, yeah.
Yeah. A
'Cause
lot of people are
we
working
used to go
from
and play
COVID.
random weird games with our friends, and we obviously stopped because we couldn't. But we've started to pick it back up again, and we started playing Yonoid 2.
Oh, what? Oh, it's a fan game. Okay.
Yeah, it's a fan game, yeah. But we didn't know that one. Well, one of us knew that. The one who suggested it knew it. And that game is weird and long, and it's kind of fun. So I've also started playing that. We also played a bunch of other games like Zoo Race. There's this trilogy of like Christian games that all feel like they were built back in the early 2000s. I guess some of them maybe they were. Like, they feel like they might have been made in Gary's mod or something like that sort of quality. There's Noah's Adventure, where you have to play like hide and seek with animals, and then there's this Zoo Race,
Oh God.
where a bunch of people, where it's set after Noah's Ark, I guess, where Noah just decides to race the animals for fun.
I know it's true. Yeah, I remember that
Yeah.
game because a famous YouTuber talked about them a few years ago.
Yeah. Someone mentioned them, and so I think that's how I found out about them as well. But he also released a new game called Angel vs Demons. I think
Oh yeah.
it's
Is it like a fighting game or wrestling
yeah,
game?
it's like a boxing game, but it's bad. And like the whole premise is that you're in this like downtrodden city. Where like crime runs rampant, like there's big neon signs that are like buy cocaine here.
Oh my gosh.
And like just it's a mafia controlled city, and there's this big billboard that just says mafia boss, and then has like I guess the photo of the mafia boss on it, just scrolling up. It's like the most stereotypical sin filled city you could think of.
Wow.
And then you click on things and you're given scenarios, and it's like, what's gonna happen here? The angel suggests a good choice, and the devil suggests a bad choice, and then the winner is whoever wins the boxing match. But the combat is so ludicrously bad, and it's really hard to lose as well, because like you don't get to control the devil, you have to play as the angel, and the idea is that the more battles you win, the less moves the devil like can do, and the more moves you can do. But the devil is really, really bad at the fighting and really slow. And so if you want to see any of the bad choices, it's like this 5-minute slog of waiting for the AI to beat you. Because some of the bad choices are really funny. Like, there's a wedding scene where the good choice is just to let the wedding happen as normal, but the bad choice is that, like, a flock of ravens will interrupt the wedding. And we were like, what? What part of this is a moral choice? What? And you get, it's all choices like that. You get stuff like, oh, a dog has run into the road. If the devil wins, the dog will be hit by a car, but if the angel wins, he won't.
Oh, wow.
It's just like, okay, right. But yeah, it's not a good game. It's not a good game. And we wanted to see if there was a compilation of all the bad choices, because some of them are pretty extreme stuff I'm not going to say on stream. But I couldn't, like, I've seen like one person mention this game even exists.
I've never heard of this until now.
Yeah. But alright, anyway, we've covered everything that we've been up to recently in what might be record time for this podcast, to be honest. 30 minutes, that's pretty good for this segment. So let's get on to the actual sort of schedule for today. Because there's a few things that we want to talk about, and I think the first one of these is that we're in Nintendo Direct season. And because of that, there's been lots and lots and lots of rumors recently about, but there's been like quite a prominent connection between all these rumors, and that's the fact that we seem to be Nintendo has run out of Wii U games to bring over, and so they're turning their attention to the GameCube and Wii now to port stuff, because we're expecting to get like a lot of GameCube mainly, but a few other systems.
They've sort of run out of Wii U games to port.
Sort of run out of Wii U games, yes.
There's a special exception.
Yeah.
A special exception we're gonna hopefully be seeing, yes.
Yes. So, like, I'll go through...
Yeah, Father Treasure, you're right.
That's it, you got it. So I'll go through this list in what I guess is the most prominently heard ones, and then we can talk about them. Because I don't know if it's worth talking about them all individually. But the two Wii U games, I mean, I guess we'll do a few key ones that I think the big talking points, and then I'll go through a bunch of the miscellaneous ones. So the two key ones are obviously Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD. They're the two Wii U games that are technically GameCube games that are... So everyone has been saying, I feel like every single Nintendo Direct rumor, oh, they're coming, guys. You're gonna see them. You're gonna see the Zelda ports be ported again.
I'm aware of that,
I feel so confident that, given the fact that we've been hearing about rumors of these two games since, like, 2018?
Mm-hmm.
They've probably been at least, like, in the works for a while, and it's one of those Nintendo sitting on them for when there's no other Zelda content.
Yeah.
Like, every year since, 2010? There's been a Zelda release or some sort of Zelda content. Even in, like, years where there wasn't much. There was, like, Cadence of Hyrule or DLC for existing games. Like, they found ways to have something Zelda every year. But now that Breath of the Wild 2 is not 2022 anymore... now's the prime time for them to be like, well, we've got nothing else. Press the release button on these.
Yeah, there's been a Zelda game, or at least a game with the Zelda branding on it, every year since 2013.
2013, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm guessing...
Wow.
2012... Oh, no, 2012 had Ocarina... No, 2011 had Ocarina of Time 3D. Maybe 2012 didn't have anything.
2012 didn't have anything other than the Zelda Battle Quest from Nintendo.
Yeah, Nintendo Land. I was going to say, there's Zelda content.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like with Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD, it's really hard to tell whether these rumors are like actual rumors or just informative guesses, because it feels like when they start bringing over Wii U titles, these two seem like an obvious choice. And I'm almost wondering if, like you said, people have been saying this sort of stuff since like 2018. If back then it was like, oh yeah, Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD, those will definitely come over, said with like such confidence and repeated so much that now everyone's just assuming that this is something like rumored and all that, and that is actually in development, and not just something we've all tricked ourselves into thinking is real.
So I'm gonna go out on a limb here with like 90% certainty and say, yeah, there was no plans until like last year for these.
Yeah, probably. That wouldn't surprise me until like Skyward Sword HD happened.
Yeah.
Although I will say, Wind Waker's Japanese anniversary is end of this year. Like 20th anniversary. So if one of these two was going to release first, if they're not bundled together, I'm hoping it's my little island boy.
Yeah, I think Wind Waker would be the first one. Oh, whoops!
It's going to be both of them same day, $60 individual.
God, I can't imagine that being. I mean, I know why Nintendo would justify it. I know what they're thinking is around this, but that's. I feel like that is a hard sell, even for Zelda. Like, this isn't like the case. It's like how the Last of Us remake is a hard one to compare any of these two, to be honest, because that is like a
that's tough.
Remake, but also that's
a really high effort remake.
Yeah, like, that's a really high effort remake. Whereas this is really just a port. There's probably a better comparison, which will probably be the next one I talk about to Last of Us, so maybe I'll just save it till then. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like trying to sell them both for full $60 is a hard request when it wasn't that long ago that we got them on the Wii U both for that price.
Not even. They were $50 on the Wii U. However, Skyward Sword HD was $60.
Yeah.
So there's nothing stopping them.
I guess.
There really isn't. And especially since I almost feel like with some of these ports, they're not looking to make them the next biggest successful entry in that series. They're kind of just looking to make something they know will at least sell enough to make back what they put into it.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of, now people will stop asking for it. There you go.
Well, I wonder if a lot of these ports and stuff is because they're gearing up for whatever the Switch's successor is going to be in like 2024 or whatever. And while I think the Switch successor will be backwards compatible with the Switch, like I feel like it's going to be sort of keeping the same ecosystem going. If development for a lot of games has switched over to that, it would make sense to backlog all of this with ports. I mean, that's exactly what they did with the 3DS. Like the 3DS's final few years had a couple of new games, but then like Luigi's Mansion 3D and the Mario and Luigi remakes, yeah, and Yoshi's Woolly World and Kirby's Epic Yarn, whatever ports.
Yikes!
Skyward Sword was a weird release because it felt like they were signaling, "Hey, we would like people to try this kind of game again."
You mean like traditional Zelda? Was that the sort of game?
Yes, but also like people didn't really appreciate it the first time.
Mm-hmm.
How about now?
I just figured it was the natural one to do after they've done all the other 3D Zeldas in some way.
Especially since, 10th anniversary, that's typically when they've remade these games. Mm-hmm. Wind Waker's was 10th anniversary, Twilight Princess was 10th anniversary, so was Skyward Sword, Even though Skyward Sword was originally a 25th anniversary Zelda title, there you go. We're just gonna repackage it to be your 35th anniversary.
Yeah.
I've been saying this for a while, but I feel like the Switch successor is closer than y'all think it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's at the earliest is 2023 is what I'm thinking, and the only reason I think that is because that's when sort of the Mario Kart DLC is planned to end, the Xenoblade DLC is planned to end. Splatoon is obviously continuing until 2024, but that's part of why I think that the Switch 2 is going to be backwards compatible, because I can't imagine them releasing a Splatoon 3 now that they plan to support, only to make it obsolete with a new Switch coming out immediately.
Yeah, it's called 2025, wasn't it? Wasn't Splatoon 2 also 2 years?
Maybe it's 2025. I thought it was 2024 because that would be 2 years from now. Because it's only 2022 now. But
oh wait, you said 2023 or 2024? That Splatoon's gonna end.
2024 for Splatoon. 2023 for Mario Kart and Xenoblade.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like it feels like they're either going to wait for Splatoon to end before they can do a Switch successor, or the next Switch is going to be backwards compatible so that they can just have Splatoon 3 be on it.
Just kind of keep the library alive on it.
Yeah. Which I guess in that case they could do the same for Mario Kart and Xenoblade as well, but I just kind of feel like end of 2023 might be the earliest. We'll
end
see.
of 2023?
Yeah, end of 2023, okay. Fall of 2023 is when I would suspect the Switch successor. But that's neither here nor there. Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, they're the obvious big ones. The one that I think is more a bit like the Last of Us remake is Metroid Prime, which is they're supposedly branding it as a remaster, but it's apparently a bit more of a remake. Also being made for the anniversary of Metroid Prime, which is also meant to be this year, if I remember correctly, like the 20th anniversary. So the idea is that they're releasing this as a part of that anniversary quote-unquote celebrations, but it's being made by Retro Studios and is like a whole proper, all the graphics have been done, like full HD remake of the game. Which, like, yeah, neat. I guess that it's a bit more comparable to The Last of Us because of that. It's taking a game that people already really liked, giving it a fresh coat of paint. I think Metroid Prime's a bit more justifiable because you can't play Metroid Prime on the Switch currently, whereas you can play The Last of Us on the PS5 already. But it's that kind of remake, and that I think they'll sell it for $60 as well. Metroid Prime for sure. I'm fine with Metroid Prime coming back. I've got slightly weird problems with Metroid Prime specifically because I feel like if you bring Metroid Prime 1, I still think is a very good game, and I feel like if you bring Metroid Prime 1 back, you almost have to have 2 and 3 also come along with it before 4 comes out. Otherwise, like,
eventually
you're going to be looking at the Nintendo Switch and it's like Metroid Prime 1 and Metroid Prime 4.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, look, Metroid Prime 4 might as well be in the same situation as Breath of the Wild 2, except we know even less about it. So theoretically, I mean, you can have, say, Prime 1 remaster come out, I don't know, November. I think that's when the anniversary is. That's when, like,
yes.
rumors leaks say it's coming. Then you can have, I don't know, Prime 2 and 3 announced at, like, E3 next year, with one of them releasing, I don't know, fall 2023, and and Prime 3 releasing spring 2024, and then E3 2024, finally time for Metroid Prime 4.
God, see, I feel like I'd rather have Metroid Prime 4 earlier than that. Like, I feel like I wouldn't want them holding it off to 2024, especially if there is another Switch, like a successor coming, unless Metroid Prime 4 pulls the Breath of the Wild and is like on both platforms because they promised it for the Switch, which would be really funny because it was one of the first Switch games announced, and then it releases on the Switch's successor. But yeah, like it's like having to have a new Metroid Prime game every single year just so that they can catch up. I almost kind of wish they had remade Metroid Prime Hunters instead of Metroid Prime 1, because I feel like if any of the Metroid Prime games need a remake, it's that one. And given Silex's involvement in Hunters, and his presumable involvement in Metroid Prime 4, I feel like it would make more sense as well to tie into Metroid Prime 4. But that's not the popular one, it's the first Metroid Prime.
Obviously, this is all part of Nintendo's big plan to get Metroid back on, like, the A-listers of recognition, like Zelda.
Yeah, got Metroid Dread, got the 2D one, so now we're going to get the Prime to get the 3D one back in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for all the issues I've got with the Metroid Prime remake, I guess just sort of feeling it's a bit pointless. I will almost certainly buy it because I love Metroid Prime. I'm curious if they'll make any gameplay tweaks to Metroid Prime, or if it would just be like really loyal to the first game, to that game.
I almost feel like if it is more of a remaster and they're remaking it, I almost feel like it'll actually be almost like a teaser to what we would expect for Prime 4. Especially if they end up remaking 2 and 3 as well, making them all feel consistent to each other rather than drastically different from each other.
Yeah, I think that would make sense. I guess for me with Metroid Prime, it's less because I feel like they'll like do stuff like map aiming to the right analog stick or whatever instead of how it was handled in Metroid Prime. But I feel like one of the things is the back half of Metroid Prime is not great. Like having to go around and hunt all of the keys and stuff like that to get to the final area. And I'm wondering if there's any design changes they could make with a remake to sort of streamline that, or at least make it a bit more enjoyable to travel around the map and do.
Yeah, I had to play the back half of Metroid Prime to get footage for the Ridley video.
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend who had a save right before the keys.
Oh god.
I had to collect all the keys. That was probably one of the most boring experiences I've had playing a game.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not fun unless you've been picking the keys up on your way, which you really wouldn't know where they are or how to do it unless you've played the game before already. It's like, yeah, it's not a fun thing, and it's something that a proper remake would fix, but I just don't know how they would actually, like, if they would go about fixing it with this. Yeah, like, could they Wind Waker HD Triforce quest it, as or Doodle put it? Just make it easier to find everything or something. But yeah, I mean, those are my thoughts on a Metroid Prime remake. That's probably the other most talked about one on this list from people other than the Wind Waker and Twilight Princess ones. I don't know if you guys have anything else you want to say about it.
I just hope they actually end up happening, to be honest.
Yeah.
If it ends up happening, that's cool because I have not played Metroid, of course, as usual. I've not played a Metroid game. But if it's happening, it feels like it's taking a long time, and I get that because development restarted. That's probably why they're doing it as well. And now instead of earlier, because of course, Metroid Prime 4 came out earlier. It was like at least we knew it'd be coming out earlier than it is now. Like an undefinite, we have no idea. Then they probably would have done this already. But I feel like this should be done so much earlier.
Yeah, I suppose the way the story goes, supposedly, is that a different developer than Retro was going to work on Metroid Prime 4, and then Nintendo wanted to make a sequel, make a remake of Metroid Prime for the anniversary, and so got Retro Studios to do it because their previous game pitch or whatever was being cancelled. And so Retro Studios put forward the Metroid Prime remake, and they showed off a gameplay demo. Nintendo was so impressed with the demo for Metroid Prime 1 that they basically cancelled the Metroid Prime 4 that was being made, that they weren't particularly happy about from the other developer, and just gave it to Retro. And that's why Retro got Metroid Prime 4, because their work on Metroid Prime, the remake, impressed Nintendo a bunch. And
Can we talk about that for a little bit, about the rumors behind that canceled Metroid Prime 4 original project?
Sure.
Huh?
The game was going to be third person.
Oh, was that one of the rumors?
Yeah.
The only thing I knew about it was that it was supposedly being made by Bandai Namco, or at least that's where the developer was.
I believe it was. Well. I don't remember exactly the faction, but it was like a newly formed part of Bandai Namco.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to say Metroid Prime should be in first person. That's kind of its defining trait compared to the other Metroid games. So it'd be weird to do it as third person. Hell, it feels like the only reason Federation Force is a Metroid Prime game is because it's in first person. But so that's Metroid. So the other game that a lot of people are talking about at the moment is F-Zero GX. Is supposedly getting. I don't know if this is a remake or remaster. I've heard mixed things on it. It seems like it's definitely getting a big graphical update, but I don't know. And it's supposedly getting a bit of new content. That might just be the AX stuff being made available. Because it's already all the AX stuff is already in the game's files for GX. It's just not accessible without an action replay. So just having it be available, like adding an AX cup and making the characters who are AX exclusive just unlockable in GX. I mean, that's an easy thing for the devs to do. But yeah, F-Zero GX is supposedly also coming back, and that one is far more understandable than Metroid Prime to me, because it's the last F-Zero game, and I feel like F-Zero is something that absolutely should have come back already by now. I know Nintendo's whole, we need to do something new to justify making a new one. But it's like, you didn't need to make a new one. You could port GX and it would run online and stuff like that. It'd be great.
So I had this interesting theory that I feel like F-Zero GX being part of this big rumor is what's kind of making the gears turn for me on this one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's entirely possible people can just be like, no, that's not true. But I feel like in recent years, the last maybe 5 years, we know the Splatoon team at Nintendo is primarily younger, newer developers. Yeah. And I feel like a lot of this push for like GameCube remakes and bringing back more of things from like our era's childhood of growing up with the GameCube. I feel like a lot of this is because there's so many more newer, younger developers at Nintendo that are nostalgic for that era, pushing to try to get those remade and put out because they want to work on it, they want to see them re-released, and they know the fans do too.
Yeah, I think part of it also might be future-proofing a bit, because GameCube games are notoriously a lot more difficult to emulate and port and stuff like that than other games. Something I've realized, especially recently because of the Captain Rainbow stuff. I was also looking into translation patches for Chibi Robo and Gift Pia as well, because I have a Japanese copy of Chibi Robo, and I was wondering, can I like use the Revolution Wii homebrewing to add a translation patch to my Japanese copy of Chibi Robo? But like, it's just not doable without like actual hardware hacking for GameCube. Like the GIF Peer fan translation literally has, if you want to do this on like actual hardware, please contact us because you'll need to do actual like hacking to get this to work. And when looking over stuff, it's like there's so much of the Wii is cracked and open and stuff like this and available online, but not the GameCube. Like barely any GameCube games have stuff. Melee might be the game that has the most additions to it, and that's because it's Melee and people are willing to put the time into it.
Of course.
So like I feel like another reason to bring stuff like F-Zero GX over to the Switch is that it's probably a lot easier to, or it will be a lot easier to bring Switch games over to newer consoles. So get the work done now, and then if they need to re-release an F-Zero every system, they can always just keep re-releasing GX and never have to make a new one, at least until people get sick of it. or if GX sales skyrocket, then they know they definitely should be making a new one. But I do think you're right, Tris. I think as the staff in Nintendo change, there's more people sort of understanding the value of re-releasing their older games like this.
Yeah.
Especially if they're not going to make a new one, just to keep it having a presence. The Virtual Console did a fine enough job for that on the Wii and Wii U, but if they're not willing to keep that up, they should at least, or at least not willing to go past Nintendo 64 on that, they should at least port these games over.
I think it could also be a case of, I remember, was it the producer or director of Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz HD was like, hey, we know that you guys want a remake of Super Monkey Ball 1 and 2. We know that you really want that, or even a new game. But if we put all of our effort or money into that thing and it ends up not selling well, then it's kind of like over and bust. So instead of failing on the project that we actually want to do, it's best that we test the waters with this other thing, so that way we know for sure, okay, it is now safe to do this thing.
Yeah.
Not only that, so like it's probably like best to remaster / remake a game to see where the not opinion, but where like the stance on like, are people receptive to this? Do people want more of this? And if they do, now we'll actually fund a new game. Not only that, but if there's new people on a team, it might be a good idea to have them work with something that already exists, so that way they kind of already have like their own testing grounds rather than being thrown into something completely brand new.
That's true.
Because you don't want to go completely brand new and then like ends up sucking. Or not only that, but if you're working with something that's already pre-established, you kind of want to know, or be aware of like at least analytically or like in terms of like design, probably. How did this work? What was the team thinking? How did the levels work in this way? What are the themes and stuff like that? And then when the next game comes around, you're like, okay, we can tap into what is the core of the series that we're gonna be researching or something like that.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. This game isn't one of the ones being or at least rumored to be ported, but I feel like this is what they should have done with Chibi Robo rather than making Ziplash. Like a weird game that's got nothing to do with the original. They should just bring the original to Switch. the one that's already been localized for every country or whatever, just needs support, and then see how that sells now that social media is about, and it could get a bigger push from that. Because I honestly feel like Chibi Robo, and the same for any of Skip's games, to be honest, that they're all sort of ahead of their time, and that they would do so much better in this like very online social media based world. Like Chibi Robo feels like the kind of game that people would buy and spread via word of mouth and stream and stuff like that, and become popular through that. It would also like don't release it in a weird time right before the Wii is about to come out, where you're not going to put any marketing in it on you because you have to do all the marketing yourself. Nowadays, you don't need that. People can do the marketing for you for free, basically. Just make the loud minority shout really loudly about something they like. So Chibi Robo would be a perfect example of that. And yeah, I agree with you on that. F-Zero, if this comes back and sells really, really well, and is like the best-selling F-Zero game, that might encourage them to make more or a new one.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
But before we continue through the rest of these rumors, I do just want to ask, because I haven't kept up like super well with them. Are all of these GameCube remakes rumored to show up in this potential direct, or is it just they're happening at some point?
No, a lot of these I think are happening at some point. Most people don't know when they're happening. Metroid Prime, Wind Waker, and Twilight Princess are the only three that people think for sure is happening in this Nintendo Direct. And I think that's
I think makes sense. Yeah,
I think those three are the ones that people are convinced will come out this year. That's mainly why. Like F-Zero is just one that a lot of more people have talked about, because a lot of these ones that I'm going to bring up now are ones that have been rumored, but people haven't really talked about much at all. It's sort of been offhand mentions either from Zippo or Emily Rogers or Drake or whatever mentioned in that long Famiboards thread, etc. So that's why I saved them all for this section, because these might be the ones that most people haven't heard of. So supposedly, on the remake side of things, I'm going to include Wii here as well, because there's 2 Wii games. Eternal Darkness is one of them. It's getting a remake. Both Pokemon Colosseum and Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness are supposedly in the running for being remasters at the very least.
I don't. Wait. Are these like just only small hearings about? No,
these ones are the ones that, depending on where you go, some leakers are being like, these are definitely happening, and then some I think like are being a bit more cautious and are being like, no, these ones are at least in heavy discussion. Like Emily said that a lot of the games that people were bringing up are at least being considered quite heavily. But I don't think she wanted to confirm any outright, whereas I think like Zippo's been a bit more firm on which ones he thinks are true. And so, like Pikmin is like an iffy one. Emily made an offhand comment that made people think Pikmin 1 and 2 are being remade, but other leakers haven't really heard about those two at all. So I hadn't actually included them on my list, but I just thought I'd bring it up. But yeah, Pokemon Colosseum and Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness, supposedly as well Paper Mario the Thousand Year Door and Super Paper Mario as well. That's being one of the Wii games. And then the other Wii game is Excite Trucks, of all games. I don't know if Excitebots as well, but Excite Trucks for sure.
Wow.
And I think my thing with all of these, and this includes the first 4 games that were brought up, is who's making these games. Like Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD could be done internally, or they could be done by is it Tantalus who did Twilight Princess HD?
Tantalus did Twilight Princess HD, whereas I think Grezzo's the one that's handled other Zelda remakes.
So like, Tantalus also did Skyward Sword HD.
Yeah, Skyward Sword HD. Okay. So they could be the ones handling these Switch ports for Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. Metroid Prime, the rumor is that it's Retro doing it themselves. But like, I don't know who is doing any of these others. Is Intelligent Systems remaking Paper Mario games? Are these remakes or ports? Excite Trucks, is that Monster Games? Because I thought they sort of didn't work with Nintendo anymore or got bought out or something. So
Yeah, Monster Games got bought out,
Yeah.
so I don't think they're the ones doing Excite Truck anymore. But the Paper Mario one's interesting to me because Paper Mario is usually on like a cycle of every 4 or so years, with Origami King having released in 2020. So I think it'll still be a little while before we see anything more Paper Mario. Probably at least another year before it's announced. But I think, given the steps taken in Origami King towards the traditional format that people like, after the previous 2 games, I can see it actually being intelligent systems being the ones to make the not Twilight Princess, the Thousand Year Door and Super Paper Mario remakes. I don't know if they would be bundled together, but the two of them getting remakes, I guess, in the newer art styles of like Origami King, but because they would already have the means to more easily do all that, and I think that would come at the expense of a new Paper Mario in that cycle. They would just be the next ones in the cycle.
Yeah, I guess we should be careful whether or not they're remakes or remasters. It sounds like a lot of these are being phrased as either ports or remasters, but in the case of like Metroid Prime and F-Zero GX, it's a bit more of a remake. Whereas in these cases, it might not be. It might just be graphical updates. I'm not sure. The Paper Mario ones, I find Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door doesn't surprise me so much, because that's obviously the big fan favorite from a lot of people. But Super Paper Mario I find really weird, because I feel like Super Paper Mario is the game that absolutely muddled the Super Mario brand for Nintendo and made them pivot hard to a new Super Mario Brothers world. Which is
so interesting, because I really like that.
I like that game as well, but so much of that game is not Mario. Mario, you got the 4 main characters, and then I think one of the levels has Goombas and Koopa Troopers and stuff in it. And otherwise, everything else in that game is just not Mario in any way.
Maybe that's why. I mean, I think the rumor is they'd be bundled together.
Yeah,
that way you get both of them together.
I see.
And that way people buy Super Paper Mario.
I mean, my problem with that is that Super Paper Mario is a very different game from the Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door. Because they're both Mario, I feel like they could be sold on their own and still have a good chance. I think Pokemon Colosseum and Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness are 2 games that would likely be bundled together, because it's the Pokemon company, not Nintendo. Those 2 games are very, very similar. They're obviously, I think the XD is a sequel to Colosseum, obviously, even if it's got different characters and stuff in it. My problem with those 2 games is that they're so rooted in Gen 3. It'd be really weird, I think, to put them in on the Switch. Like, would these just be straight? I think I heard from people talking about this that these are just straight up remasters, so there wouldn't be any new Pokemon added to them. These ones are literally just bringing the 2 games back, and I guess they would connect to Pokemon Bank, so you could bring Gen 3 or prior Pokemon over with limitations, because those games obviously have the issue that they have specific Pokemon you can catch and nothing else. So if you wanted to see your other Pokemon in 3D, you'd have to bring them over.
Wasn't Colosseum made with the specific intention of giving people access to Gen 2 Pokemon?
Yeah, that was one of the benefits of it. That's why you got Celebi through Pokemon Colosseum. It's the only way to get Celebi in Gen 3 was through that game. And Ho-Oh is in Colosseum, and then Lugia is obviously in XD.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Wait, aren't those Pokemon? Aren't Ho-Oh and Lugia in freaking Bright and Leaf Green?
You have to get an event for them.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think they're in Ruby and Sapphire. Those ones are a bit weird. Eternal Darkness. I mean, that's another one that I don't know who would be making this.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
Yeah, like I mean, I love the idea of Eternal Darkness coming back. It's obviously one that a lot of people love. It's Nintendo's sort of attempt at an actual horror game, not Luigi's Mansion. And Fatal Frame, I guess they technically own, but it's not theirs. They didn't start the series. But Eternal Darkness they did, and I'm just curious who would be making this if they're porting it over. Because I saw someone in the chat say Forever Entertainment. But according to rumours, this has nothing to do with ports. but I may as well address it as Alpha American actually brought it up earlier. The rumor is that Forever Entertainment is working on a Star Fox game, like a new Star Fox game, which would fit with what they have worked on previously, being Panzer Dragoon and House of the Dead, on-rail shooters. And it's not a remake of Star Fox 64, but it's also not a massive departure from Star Fox 64. According to the rumors, like Andros is still the boss. Like Andros is still the main villain, and I guess Corneria and Venom are both still stages in it, but it's not meant to be a retelling of Star Fox 64.
Hear me out.
Mm-hmm.
Star Fox 1.
Oh god, it's a remake of Star Wing this time. Yeah, I mean that's supposedly what Forever Entertainment is doing, and I guess I could buy that unless they're porting over something. But given their track record, on-rail shooter would make sense. But yeah, those are like all the GameCube ports, and I guess also to throw this in here because I had 2 more ports on the list. Supposedly, to go with the Paper Mario thing, a lot of the people from Alpha Dream got absorbed into Intelligent System. Absorbed probably isn't the right word because Alpha Dream wasn't bought, it died. More like Intelligent System picked up the pieces of Alpha
Considering
Dream.
they've worked closely together several times, that's really not surprising that they probably just looked to hire the teams that worked on Mario RPGs from Alpha Dream.
Yeah.
If not everyone. Like, they probably spread into Intelligent Systems and Nintendo themselves, directly into Nintendo, either one of the two, because that's good talent that Nintendo constantly was going to, that Intelligent Systems also closely worked with several times, that it just kind of makes sense for them to work together more and have the talent on hand for future games.
Yeah. And supposedly as part of this, Intelligent System effectively picked off where Alpha Dream left off. With Mario and Luigi, meaning Intelligent Systems is going to be doing Mario and Luigi as well as Paper Mario, which I suppose makes sense.
It does.
Given how similar they are. But one of the things some sources have stated is that Mario and Luigi, the next game Alpha Dream were working on was a remake of Partners in Time for the Switch.
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure how that would really work on the Switch. I feel like that game was made specifically because you had 2 screens to work with.
Well, basically every Mario and Luigi game after Superstar Saga was built with that in mind.
Well, yeah, I guess.
Well,
I feel like you could turn maybe Dream Team into one, or Paper Jam into one screen, but
you see, with Partners in Time, it doesn't really use 2 screens all that much for actual
gameplay
mechanics.
Yeah.
So a lot of that can just be done by making the screen taller.
Oh boy, you have to play in handheld mode with your Switch held vertically.
It comes with the vertical grip.
Oh my god.
But yeah, Mario and Luigi Partners in Time remake, supposedly. Other people have said it's scrapped and they're just working on a new Mario and Luigi, but I thought I'd include that here, just because it's connected to the Paper Mario stuff.
It's interesting because when you look at the Bowser's Inside Story remake, you can tell they were also working on Partners in Time, because the bonus shrew battle that you get in Bowser's Inside Story, in the original game there was a couple of Shroob silhouettes in the ice in the background. In the remake, you can tell they made those sprites and put the ice filter over them. For so many of them. You can tell they put the effort in, and they would not do that just for a background detail. They would not.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, yeah. Alright, and so the final game, this one, some people have said it might be in the Direct, and other people say it might not be. It's one of those games that's apparently far along enough that it might possibly show up, but also might not. Is apparently Bandai Namco are porting Kid Icarus Uprising to the Switch.
Oh man,
off of 3DS.
I finally play it.
Say it again. Say it one more time.
Kid Icarus Uprising.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. Sakurai's 3DS darling. Although apparently Sakurai isn't involved in this. It's
He probably just signed off.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, he's not involved in bringing this over. They've got Bandai Namco doing it. I don't know if it's the people who worked on Smash or if it's a completely different team behind it. But they've been porting over Kid Icarus to the Switch, which I'm all for, because like that game is. I wanted to go back and play that game, and that hurts. It really does hurt your hand.
Yeah.
I feel like the only reason I was able to power through it back in the day was because I was younger. And my bones weren't as brittle as they are now.
No, I was young when it came out, and I couldn't handle it. So
Yeah. So this is one of those ones that I really, really want to see happening. And apparently it's far enough along that we could see it come out next year. So it might be something they show off in the next direct, or it might be something they show off in the first direct of next year.
yeah, one of those two I think would be likely, given the rumors around it. It sounds like it wouldn't be something. Well, I can't say it wouldn't be something to go out of that time frame, because look at when Splatoon 3 was announced.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess Kid Icarus Uprising would be incredibly successful to get remade on Switch.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it really just comes down to when, timing wise.
Yeah.
Because as great as it would be to announce it now, in like whatever the September Direct is, unless it releases before June next year, I feel like that might be too early. For remakes, they don't, outside of Bowser's Inside Story, which was announced like a whole freaking year in advance for some reason, they don't normally announce remakes that far out nowadays.
Yeah, that is true. That's true. Nintendo's been very close to their chest on what it is that they want to announce and stuff. I feel like with Kid Icarus Uprising, it might be big enough in the like Nintendo fan echo chamber that they might be happy to release it earlier, because I feel like the big that game was pretty successful on the 3DS, but it wasn't as successful as it could be because a lot of people didn't buy it knowing that they would have trouble playing it because all the reviews and stuff said it like hurt your hand to play.
And all like the accessories that came with it to
make
playing better. And people like, oh, I don't know if I want to get these things just for one game.
Yeah. So. I'm starting to, I think it might depend on whenever Breath of the Wild 2 comes out, because Kid Icarus Uprising I think would be a perfect game for March, in that same slot that Kirby and Animal Crossing did. I'm pretty sure March was when Kid Icarus Uprising released the first time as well. So it coming out next March would make sense, and if that was the case, announcing it now in September, half a year in advance basically, would probably be a good time to announce it. But if Breath of the Wild 2 is going to repeat Breath of the Wild 1 and come out in next March, you wouldn't want to release Kid Icarus and Breath of the Wild at the same time, and they have no reason to release Kid Icarus being a remake.
I think spring is a tough time. Spring is a tough time for something like that, considering right now there's not only the expectation for Breath of the Wild 2 in spring, but the fan expectation, rumors aside, that there's going to be some sort of Mario tie-in to the movie. That's also true, actually. Yeah, I hadn't written this down because it's not obviously a port or a remake or whatever, but there's supposedly a rumor of a new 2D Mario in development that's planned to come around vaguely around the time that the movie comes out. Yeah, to have a Mario and a Zelda dated for spring, I don't think there's going to be anything else in that March to June. Well, maybe end of June, but in that time period, because they're going to want all their marketing focus going all in on those. Not that they need it. The Mario and Zelda, they'll sell. Yeah. But they don't want anything else to get overshadowed by those. Yeah, so maybe it's not a time for Kid Icarus. Maybe that's more of a summer game for next year. Mm-hmm.
They usually have like a dry period around June. That would be a good slot.
Is June a dry period? I mean, they usually release games in June, unless that's what you mean. I feel like June is usually one of the busiest months for Nintendo.
Like there's a dry period where they don't release completely new games.
Mm.
It's basically like summer has been generally where remasters or ports have been slotted.
Let me just check their schedule, because the only thing that I remember that was new in June in any year was ARMS.
Well, I mean, we had ARMS, we had Mario. It depends what you classify as new. We've had Mario Strikers was June, I'm pretty sure.
Mario Strikers, Mario Tennis, Mario Golf are all June.
Okay.
We had Fire Emblem Warriors this past year as well.
Yeah,
with
I
Mario
completely
Strikers.
forgot about the Mario games.
Yeah,
I
Game
wasn't
Builder
counting
Garage
Fire
was also
Emblem.
June.
Yeah, Game Builder.
I
Mario Maker 2 was June.
Yeah, I feel like June is always like a busy month.
Okay, so in 2018, favorite game Sushi Striker and Mario Tennis Aces.
Hell yeah.
In 2019, it was Cadence of Hyrule and Super Mario Maker 2.
Yep.
And 2020, Jump Rope Challenge at
Hell
Clubhouse
yeah.
Games.
2020 was pandemics.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that makes
And
sense.
2021 was DC Superhero Girls, which is not by them, but okay. Game Builder Garage and Mario Golf Super Rush. In 2022, this year we had Three Hopes.
Three Hopes and Strikers.
Oh, Three
And-
Hopes
and
and Battle
Strikers.
League and Strikers.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't know. The other time, I guess, the Secret Across could be E3 of next year.
I will say
Oh,
though,
that would be big for E3.
Yeah.
those June titles do feel like smaller, air quotes smaller, like they're first like developed by, well, most of them at least by Nintendo Studios or like are big franchises within Nintendo, but like the sports one, they're just okay.
They're usually spin-offs or smaller titles.
Yeah.
Like the next big 3D Zelda is not released in June. for example.
Yeah.
I would say though that with Kid Icarus, even though the game is very, very good, it's not a heavy hitter. I don't think.
No, it's one of those ones that like a lot of people who play, everyone who's played it like loved it, but it sold decently. But it has like a sort of difficult reputation on the 3DS, and that's made it difficult for people who want to go back and play it to go play it.
Yeah.
Which is why I think a port would do it wonders. The Switch. But yeah. So those are all the ports. Those are all the rumored games that are supposedly coming out. So I guess the last thing is to just talk about general Nintendo Direct. I assume we all assume that one is happening. In the next 2 weeks. Yeah. So
I over on GameXplain, I spent a whole 5 hours researching the last like 8 years of Nintendo Directs. Actually very fun, interesting day, not gonna lie, but I basically broke down how I know everyone's like, oh well, Nintendo's not gonna hold to traditions because there wasn't a Direct back in June. Well, yes, but there was also no E3 back in June. Unless you forget, it was not just Nintendo going, oh, not this year. Sorry, guys.
Chris,
Like,
I said that exact same thing in one of our Good Morning Switch games. Like there wasn't an E3 in that year, so they didn't do a Direct.
Yeah.
So they're probably not gonna do a Direct this year, or they're not gonna do like a main Direct. They're probably gonna do like a partner showcase, and then they did a partner showcase.
Yeah. I was also on the boat of like, there's no E3, Nintendo won't do it. They'll do something else, and they did. They basically did Nintendo's answer to Summer Games Fest throughout the entire summer.
Nintendo's
but
Twitter Fest.
what's still here though is Tokyo Game Show. And Nintendo is always doing a Direct before Tokyo Game Show. Even last year, where it was like really late in the month. That's because Tokyo Game Show didn't start until like the change of the month. It was like the very end of September into the start of October. So this year, with Tokyo Game Show coming on Thursday the 15th, there has to be a Direct before then. If not for themselves, at least for their third-party partners. Because I don't think Nintendo themselves have gone to Tokyo Game Show in quite a few years, but there's always at least one, usually Capcom, that has something to show at Tokyo Game Show that they have in the Direct.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Usually Capcom that brings new stuff. Sega retreads over things they've already announced. Actually, I think Sakura Wars was announced at Tokyo Game Show. I can't remember. Square Enix, I think, also just goes over things. I don't remember. Oh no, they usually release new trailers for the games that are already announced. They don't announce like any new titles, I don't believe.
Yeah, but I feel pretty confident that we'll see one before Tokyo Game Show, and not that Nintendo would be doomed if they don't, or oh no, it might just be a partner showcase. Like those are. Well, the partner showcase that is, I guess, possible if they only want to focus on third-party stuff. But given what we still have before the end of this year, and the rumors for what's still coming up before the end of the year, and needing Breath of the Wild 2 dated. I mean, last September's Direct was when they announced Kirby and the Forgotten Land for March. So I think we're still primed to get something this next, I don't know, within the next 10 days. Which feels really shocking now that I say that, actually.
I think before or after Splatoon 3 is out.
Yeah, and that's tough because that's either this week or next week.
Yeah, that's what I mean. What do you think, before or after?
I feel like it'll be before, because
Okay.
they can do a marketing push for it in there. Have a trailer for what like the first I don't know what the first free update will be, coming like 3 weeks after release or something like that, just to garner more hype towards it. But because doing it after, they almost always do the directs on Wednesdays or Thursdays.
Yeah.
Well, Tokyo Game Show is the following Thursday in Japan, so that means the only time they could do one the following week would be like Wednesday morning in the US. So it's like Wednesday night in Japan still, before TGS actually starts. And I guess they could do the Tuesday, but they've never done one on Tuesday before, so I'm hesitant to believe they would this time.
Yeah, it might be cutting it a bit close because of TGS. That
Yeah.
makes sense. And I would prefer it to be this week. Not just because it's sooner. It's just better for me if it's this week. But I guess we'll find out in the next few days what the case is, because they'll announce it a day or so before. And then we'll see. We'll see, because I think that whatever game is planned for next March will absolutely be shown, whether that's Mario, Zelda, or something else.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I mean,
just
you can
tradition.
You can already tell, like even like our rumors that we already discussed aside, you could already fill enough to get like at least a mini out of it. When you think of the fact that there's Mario and Rabbids next month, and Bayonetta 3 next month, and Pokemon the month after that.
We still need to find out about Advance Wars.
And we need Advance Wars released at some point after being pushed back twice.
Yeah.
That's already 4 titles, none of which are rumored. Those are all like actual releases we know are coming. Breath of the Wild 2 has to be dated beyond spring, because if it's a spring title, this is when it would get something.
Yeah.
That's what they always do in September. So that's now 5 things. That's already at least a 15-20 minute showcase just with those alone.
Do you think we'll see a trailer for the Mario movie finally?
I actually do think so, because last September is when they revealed the cast.
Yeah,
so I
it
feel
was.
like the Rex might be when they choose to do that news. As weird as
that
that
would
will
be a
be.
nightmare.
That'd be
Oh
great.
no!
It would be a nightmare.
Oh, no.
You're right, but
Copyright. Oh no!
Yeah, but
Depends if they play any copyrighted songs. You never know.
well,
get ready for Katy Perry and Mario, I guess.
I was just very.
The Post Malone song for Mario, Super
Oh,
Mario.
there you go.
You're gonna play California Girls in a Mario trailer for some reason.
Gangsta's Paradise starts. Everyone sighs.
All right. Let's move on then, because I think that we've sort of touched upon all of the rumors and stuff here. And then, so the next thing that's on the talking point is definitely one that's more for me and Tris, I suppose. And that's talking about all the Mario Kart Tour announcements that just happened. Specifically, the removal of the gacha system. The battle stuff is all right and interesting. If you follow the Mario Kart Tour data mining community, then you already knew battles was coming for a while now. But the removal of the gacha system is like a massive shake-up. And Tris, you guys did a really good discussion about it over on GameXplain that I listened to. There were a couple points on that you didn't bring up that I kind of wanted to discuss here as well. But let's just do sort of general thoughts around them removing the gacha and why you think that might be.
Well, I'm definitely surprised they're actually going through with doing that. That's not something I thought they would do, given how central to the core game it is. Now, I think it is important to note that it's not like 100% of the gachas being taken out. It's just the gacha that's tied to like actual money,
Yeah.
or the premium currency, which is fair to point out because it'll still curb gambling habits, of course, but there's still elements of it that'll be there. Like the pipes that use the event tokens or the event coins you can get through different methods every tour, those will probably still be there. And same with like the gold pipe you can get at the end of a tour, guaranteeing some sort of high end. But the spotlight system is, the one that people would actually spend money gambling for
Yeah.
is what's going away. And I think it's going to breathe a lot of life into the game because now people will feel more incentive to go in. And if they want to spend money to just buy the thing they want, they can, rather than spending more money than they would like to for a chance to get it. Of course, if you empty a pipe, you can guarantee getting it, but that's a lot more money than most people would want to spend.
Yeah, it wasn't
Not
something
anymore.
like 200 quid or something. I think I saw someone
Something
say
like that,
$200 if you didn't have any rubies and you just had to buy them all. Then,
Yeah,
which
it
is
is ridiculous. It was more generous than some other gacha games, but that's not really a point in its favor.
No.
It's so predatory being a gacha system at all, but it's the removal of it, I think, is a sign that this game's only going to get bigger again. Timing it with battle is huge because this is a bigger change worthy of a rebrand than Pokemon Masters did when they upgraded to Pokemon Masters EX a couple years back. This is much bigger than that.
This is huge. I kind of like the idea that was brought up by one of the two people that you did the discussion for, that maybe it's a change to something more like Fortnite's Battle Pass or Fortnite's system, where this premium skins and characters and stuff are just purchases that people want to make. And then like you have the Battle Pass, because it kind of already has that with Gold Pass. Getting the star system and the fact that if you got Gold Pass you get access to certain special ones, and then all us regular folk have the crappiest silver stuff on the left. It kind of already has that, but expanding out that sort of Battle Pass system to make Gold Pass a bit more valuable, especially now that they're removing the standard races for them as well.
Yeah, they need to change it up in some way to make the Gold Pass worth it for people. And I think adopting that like Fortnite system or multiverses system with the Battle Pass for rewards for the different costumes to characters and more characters in general, I think is it not only a good direction to take the game in to add more life and like engagement, it also probably helps with all the various European countries cracking down on like loot boxes and gambling laws. Probably helps against those. And also, I think it actually might set up a good framework for like an actual future Mario Kart game. Like, whatever the next, I don't know, Mario Kart X, whatever you want to call it, in the future on whatever Switch 2 or 3 there is, with the idea of like a live service game with constant updates and a battle pass system and constantly getting new content added into it as people play. People can sit there and complain about that, but I think if this does well, it could be a good framework towards that because they'll have proof it works, and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe sold well enough and enough people play it all the time that Nintendo might go for that.
Yeah. Releasing a new Mario Kart on the next Switch that's then supported the entire system lifespan. Proof that it works is like a big thing, and they wouldn't even make it free to play because it's Nintendo. No. It'd still be a game you buy. But like, because it's interesting why they've done this, because I've seen some people say that removing the gacha from a gacha game seems like a desperate attempt to sort of salvage it or something, or that it feels like it's going to be ending its services soon in the way that Dragalia Lost did. And I don't feel like that is the case for Mario Kart. I mean, not only does it have a ridiculous amount of content that's not in the game yet, including some stuff that's been in there since the launch of the game.
I'm the queen, where are you?
Yeah, Wiggler, come on, we're missing two. There are 2 slots still waiting. But yeah, like, there's that element of it, but it's also not doing badly. It's really hard to tell whether or not Mario Kart Tour is a success or not in the eyes of Nintendo, because
I think, given Animal Crossing Pocket Camp's considered a success, and these two have been very close in earnings, if not Mario Kart surpassing it, I think therefore it's probably considered a success at that point.
Yeah, well, because this is the thing, right? Fire Emblem is like massively more successful than the other two, but Fire Emblem's also been out for longer. Mario Kart Tour, last I think the sales numbers came out, was slightly below Animal Crossing Pocket Camp in sales, but Pocket Camp had like a big lead on Mario Kart Tour, like at least a year, if I remember correctly.
I think Animal Crossing came out in like 2017, so it was a good like 2 years at least.
Yeah, so it had like a huge a lead on it. So Mario Kart Tour catching up to that point is it's big sales wise. I think that's a sign that it's doing well. And then you've also got the added parts that. Sorry, no, I'm sorry. I got distracted just then. I'm going to rephrase this. So that's a good sign that Mario Kart Tour is doing well. That it's managed to catch up sales with its competitors. It hasn't quite reached Fire Emblem levels yet, but Fire Emblem was out for at least... Fire Emblem came out in 2017, so Fire Emblem was been out for like 3 years longer than Mario Kart Tour, if my memory serves correctly. But on the flip side of this, it's Mario. And like, it feels like Mario Kart especially is a game that should be breaking sales records and stuff. And Mario Kart Tour isn't necessarily doing that. And so I've seen that argument float around for why Mario Kart Tour might not be as successful as some of the others. And it could be a reason why that it could potentially go down. But I don't think that argument flies, because even if it's not as successful, I would still say it's making enough money that it would justify it still being around and being supported. Yes. So I don't think it's being taken down for that reason. I've seen people say they imagine like this is because of all of the crackdowns on loot boxes and stuff across Europe. I mean, Ordoodle said it in the chat, doing this to unban the game in Belgium and other countries. And that certainly might play into it. But the fact that they're not doing that for Fire Emblem or Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, at least not that we know of as of yet, if that changes, that's going to be huge. But the fact that this is
also gacha?
It has a gacha system in it. It's not nearly as big, but you can get. They have the fortune cookie system, which is effectively a loot box. You get a fortune. You get a fortune cookie. It gives you a random item. It's not. The game doesn't rely on gacha so much. It's more of a minor part of it. So I don't know if it's affected by stuff. But Fire Emblem obviously is a gacha. And it doesn't look like they're changing that anytime soon.
Because there might be the difference there, though, of when you look at the other big popular mobile games that use, Nintendo IPs. I mean, there's Fire Emblem Heroes, and then I'll include Pokemon Masters, even though that's Pokemon Company, but people always group that with Nintendo anyway.
Yeah.
Those aren't in-house Nintendo, though. Like, those are with other partnerships with other companies, and Fire Emblem Heroes is with Intelligent Systems and DNA, I think. Whereas Mario Kart Tour is developed more in-house, in partnership with Bandai Namco and the Mario Kart team and DNA, I think, mostly for handling a mobile game. So I think it being in-house Nintendo, it's more so their image. It's more, like, directly tied to them. Whereas Fire Emblem, it is first-party Nintendo, but it's not made in-house, so they're less concerned about it, I think.
Yeah, I guess that probably makes sense. I think this ties into one of the theories I've got for why they might be doing this for Mario Kart and doing it now. I suspect that with the Mario movie coming out next year, that's going to be a much bigger thing for the Mario brand than I think people are giving it credit for.
Yeah.
Because, Sonic movie came out, and that didn't really change the brand up so much. Sega was sort of very hands-off with it, and movie Sonic appeared in Sonic Dash or whatever it's called on mobile. But, that's kind of been it. And part of that might be because they've been so focused on Sonic Frontiers. It's been in development since the first Sonic movie, before the first Sonic movie even came out. But with Mario's case, I think they're expecting this movie to do really well, and they're expecting it to bring a lot more people into the Mario brand. And so they're doing this sort of big unified brand identity push, which we'll see with the new 2D Mario game that's rumored, and we'll see with a few more other things as well. And I think part of what they might be expecting is that Mario Kart Tour is about to get a massive influx of new users who have seen the Mario movie next year and now want to play a Mario game, or kids who want to try a Mario game. And Mario Kart Tour is obviously the big one on mobile. Like, sure, there's Super Mario Run, but that's not really, like that's just a game people have to buy. It's not getting any support ever, but Mario Kart Tour is the big one.
Yeah.
So with how gachas are, the sort of negative stigma against them and fear that from parents that kids might spend a lot of money that they probably shouldn't do, they might be changing up this system to make it more friendly to more casual audiences, in anticipation of a whole bunch of new Blue Ocean customers, I guess, downloading the game when it comes after watching the Mario movie next year. Because I feel like shifting the marketing branding to that is probably like shifting perceptions and changing Mario Kart Tour in that way probably makes more sense and could lead to more money than keeping the gacha around and just sticking to the typical gacha approach of harvesting from whales, I suppose. That's just a theory that I had, just looking at everything that's happening in the Mario brand coming up.
Yeah, it's definitely a case of trying to future-proof and trying to build it into something better while there's not much else going on.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, they do need to make this big change feel big, though. Like I mentioned in the GX discussion that you brought up, that part of why people booted up Mario Kart Tour day one launch wasn't just because it was Mario Kart. It was because, oh my gosh, Pauline's in Mario Kart. I want to get that. And they need to kind of work that magic again to sell people on this big change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if they don't launch this update, I think the first tour all this takes place in will be like exactly a month from today, like October 4th or 5th. If they don't launch that with like at least one big new and or one big returning character, it's gonna take a good month or two to take off if they don't do that. There needs to be incentive for people to jump in right then and there with big exciting characters.
I'm trying to think what character would fit that role. Like, I think someone on your discussion mentioned EGAD, especially because Halloween was coming up. And while Mario fans obviously like EGAD, I don't feel like he's in that same area as Pauline is, I guess, in being a big name to bring people in. So I'm actually kind of curious who would fit that, because I'm assuming this first tour that brings all this stuff in will just be known as, like, the Battle Tour.
Or something.
Or something like that. And I guess just because from the GX discussion you were talking about, you guys talking about how frequently you think battles will actually show up in this, and I'm thinking it's probably going to be that each cup will have like either 3 races and the mission will just be replaced by a battle mission, like battle mode will basically take the place of some missions, or it's going to be 2 races, 1 battle, and then a mission in cups. And that's the ratio that they're going to go with, because I agree that races are the more important thing here. So they need to still have the highest majority, but I also think that when you guys talked about balloons, I didn't even think about it, but balloons is a new accessory in replacing gliders for the battle mode, because why would battle mode have gliders?
The gliding sections of Mario Kart 7 were very forced in, so there you go.
So I feel like that you might actually be onto something on that, and that you would pick your own custom balloons and they would just work in the same way that gliders do. And I don't think Nintendo would have an issue of just having the balloons be a new item that you have to collect, and it just shares the ratio with the gliders in terms of how you can get them, especially because they don't have the gacha system anymore. It's all spotlight stuff. So if you want new balloons, you just buy them now. You don't have to do the gacha. Which actually sort of brings me around to a different point. So I'll do this afterwards, so I'm keeping on track. In terms of big characters to reveal, I don't really know who they would go for in the Battle Tour, because I feel like it would need to be one of the core cast, and I'm pretty sure they're all in there. If the movie
Yeah.
had come out already, then I could have said someone like Foreman Spike or Cranky Kong, because I feel like they're going to be characters that the movie is going to try and push.
Yeah, they're
And
probably going to be like movie characters.
yeah, they'll both be added in around that point. But I can't think of anyone else who's massive right now, and I think it's partly because we haven't really had a new Mario game in a while, like a main one. So
I think
who do you push for that?
the way you do it, you bring back one of the remaining veteran characters, like they brought back Petey Piranha a couple months ago.
Yeah.
So that would be Wiggler or Honey Queen or Paratroopa. And I'm gonna be real, as much as I do want to see Paratroopa back for the last one from Double Dash, or Wiggler because he's in more things, I think Honey Queen would make the most noise out of the community. It's how that is. So you have Honey Queen as a returning character, or I guess a crossover character, but I think that this isn't the time to do
Yeah,
that,
I don't
to
think
add
they'll
Link or back.
Yeah, I don't think they'll do crossovers yet.
So you do Honey Queen, and then you do like a brand new character, and honestly, it would probably be like Cappy or Luma or something like really identifiable.
Yeah, Cappy's a good choice. Cappy's a smart choice because he's from the latest, biggest Mario game.
Yeah,
he's like one of the main characters in it as well, so he'd be recognizable. He's new to Mario Kart as well. I think Cappy probably makes the most sense out of all the options that they could have for this. So yeah, I could say it. Luma could be a good one as well, because obviously everyone sort of recognizes Lumas.
yeah. I don't know if Lumas would be enough to bring people in, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I do think Luma should get added at some point sooner. I see in chat someone mentioned Fury Bowser, and listen, I'm so upset with this Bowser tour not adding a single new Bowser.
I know. I was expecting
SNES
Wedding Bowser at least.
Yeah, I was like, this is the perfect time to add Wedding Bowser or Fury Bowser, but no. Okay, and you're gonna taunt us with the SNES Bowser badge. All right, sure, I guess.
So mean. But actually, yeah. So the topic I was about to bring up, before I sort of pull myself back a bit, is something that I've been thinking about a lot recently. It's a big change that I've sort of seen not many people bring up, and that's about the characters that are already in the game, and specifically their ranking, because normal characters, right, like the babies and Koopa Troopa and Shy Guy, they obviously exist to be place filler in the gacha, because you summon the you do the gacha to get the spotlight, and you're greeted with like 10 commons. And that's because there's 100 things in the pipe, and there's only like one of each spotlight. They need to be able to fill this stuff out.
Yeah.
And so you did that to get the babies, but they're all like some tracks use them. They're there like if you really don't have anything else, but they're like objectively worse in terms of ability. But now there's even less reason to get them, because they're objectively worse using the babies. You just don't get as many points from using the commons as you do the normals, I guess that's what they're called in Mario Kart, than you do from using the high ends and the supers. And the supers are pretty easy to get nowadays. From the main
they show up in
shop.
the shops a lot.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what is the point anymore in having these normal characters? Like, the only way you're going to be able to get them is either as a gift from the battle pass, the missions, whatever they're called, I can't remember it off the top of my head, or you buy them in the shop. But why would you ever spend coins buying them in the shop when you can spend coins buying the supers or high-end tickets or something like that? I feel like one of the big changes that they're going to need to do in this game is figure out a way to make the normals and even the supers more worthwhile to the player.
I think we might see a shift where the normals and supers are given, because obviously they mentioned there's going to be a lot of other changes with these updates, because this kind of change is going to shake up the entire core of the game. I think we'll see a shift where the normal and super characters probably get more favored and favorite courses, and we'll probably see more normal and super level up tickets handed out through rewards. So for drivers, carts, gliders, like you'll probably see a lot more of those regularly given out. so that people are able to kind of save up the resources to be able to level those up if they choose to. I don't know. You go through a course on a ranked cup, and your only frenzy option, or your best frenzy option, is a high leveled Luigi instead of later Hosen Luigi because you don't have him. Well, that's okay because then you at least have the means to level him up further with different tickets if you want. I think making the non-high end tickets more accessible is probably going to be part of their answer there.
See, one thought I had with this is going to be that other gacha games, Fire Emblem, I'll use as my example, do their rarity based on like a rank system. So in Fire Emblem, it's 3 stars, 4 stars, and 5 stars, and that's the equivalent of your normals, supers, and high ends. But in Fire Emblem, you can make every unit a high end, basically by getting them to a certain level and then spending a certain resource to upgrade their rank. And it resets them back to level 1, but it makes them the next level up. And I wonder whether or not that's something they would do in Mario Kart Tour. It didn't make sense to do it before, because these characters obviously exist to be placeholders. But now that they're not, would it make more sense to add an update in where you can turn Baby Mario into a super racer? And then he starts showing up in the shop as a super racer and is now valued at the same price that all the other super racers are. And you just build him again from level 1 and then do it again to make him a high end effectively. There's a lot of things to consider with that, especially because you've got the tickets and stuff that increase the level rank, like increase the amount of points they offer. But doing something along that ways might be a way for people who like the babies or like Koopa Trooper or like Shy Guy actually can use them without it feeling like they're purposely nerfing themselves, because it would make more sense to use a high end if they have it. I wonder if that's a way to keep them all in, because at this point, if they're going to be doing stuff like this, I don't see a reason for them to not have every new racer be a high end if they're just purchasable.
At this point, yeah. At this point. I mean, they've kind of been at that point for quite a while, where whenever we do get a new super and it's like a Shy Guy color alt or a Yoshi color alt, we're like, whoa, another one? All right. Like, Roberto alt, like, especially when you also factor in, we don't even have like special costumes for all of the babies, let alone for all the Koopalings.
Koopalings don't have any.
letting you upgrade them to high end through a lot of means would kind of be a good way to, I guess, for them to not have to make costumes for each of them, because you have a different way to make them high end too. That could work. I just wonder if it would be worth the amount of, if any player would find it worth the amount of resources that would have to go into that.
Yeah, I guess it would depend on how many resources it is. But I mean, in Fire Emblem, it's also pretty pointless. Most 3-star units are never going to be as good as, like, the actual 5-star units that you get. But one way that this also works in reverse is that eventually, after years or whatever, Fire Emblem will downgrade its 5-star exclusive units into being 4-star. And so in Mario Kart, you could end up getting stuff like Pauline and Dixie Kong and Funky Kong being brought down to being super racers so that they're more easily obtainable for people who still haven't got them somehow. That's also an option that could be done. And then people would have to upgrade them from there. It is obviously very different with Mario Kart. It's a very different sort of game. But I feel like in Mario Kart, the main reason you use your racers is because you like the character, not necessarily the stats they bring. Because really the only thing they bring is the unique items. And that's
pretty much, yeah.
But that's just something I'm wondering how they bring it. Because my theory was always that they would have to add new normals eventually, because I don't think they can make them higher than level 8. And I haven't spent any money on the game, but I've almost maxed out all of the normals just by free-to-playing. So I can't imagine what it's like for people who do pull on the regular, like every single tour, how many babies they've already maxed out, and how every pull for a baby is just pointless now, and they get a bit of coins for it. So I always felt like they'd need to flood. Well, not flood. Flood's a bit of an extreme word, but add like at least 5 more normals in order to stop that from happening. But now they don't need to do that because there's no more gacha system anymore. which has just made me think, what's even the point in having normals then anymore?
Yeah, the character rankings don't make too much sense now.
Yeah. So that's something that I feel like they'll need to address in this update. If not like straight away, at least in a few tours later after everything's settled in. And I guess the other thing that I wanted to bring up with this is they mentioned that you'd be able to purchase previous Spotlight characters as well as just the current Spotlights.
Right.
But I wonder whether or not you would be able to purchase every single Spotlight, because obviously previous Spotlights characters have become part of the main pool now. Like you can
not all of them.
Not all of them, no. But you can still find characters like Pauline or Funky Kong or Dixie Kong can actually just show up in the daily select shop, I believe. And they definitely appear in the ranked shop, which obviously changes that every week. So while you could purchase them with a Spotlight, would they always be available? And that would be with how many Spotlights there have been in what is almost 3 years now. That shop is going to be massive.
I almost feel like it'll be similar to what we have in the Bowser Tour right now, where the second Spotlight pipe is like, it's like Kamek, Charge and Chuck, like it's returning characters.
Yeah.
Some of which aren't normal, like some of which aren't normally attainable.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll be something like that, where for the duration of a tour, the shop won't just have the new Spotlights; it'll also have some returning Spotlights in there as well.
I guess
I
it's
think
whether or
it'll
not it
basically
has.
be like
Does it have some returning Spotlights, or will all Spotlights be available? Like all returning Spotlights, and it's treated like the Mii shop, because the Mii costume shop obviously has every single Mii costume currently available.
Right.
And when they come out, they're at a discounted 70 rubies, and then after the tour that they launched in, they go up to the 100 plane. Is that how they're going to treat this Spotlight stuff, where the Spotlights come out and they're like 70 rubies for the racer and then 50 for the driver and glider, and then after that tour they just become always available at 100 rubies or 80 rubies for the kart and glider? But then it'd be so many of them.
But it would be so many, yeah, that would be huge.
Yeah.
So I almost feel it might be like, you know how during like certain holidays or like the Christmas season, for example, where the Spotlights of that tour will actually be available for like 2 or 3 tours after that.
Yeah.
There might be like that. There might be like a timer on characters, like they'll be available for 50 days, for example, and then they'll be gone until they're next in the shop again.
Yeah, I've been trying to think about it, like wondering whether or not it will work like the rank shop or daily shop, where the 3 Spotlights for that tour are always available at the top.
Right.
But then the remaining 6 or 9 slots change out either every day or every week. I guess if it's every week, or the Spotlights would also swap out. But like, yeah, so that they can... Because the other thing I guess you got to think about is what's to stop someone who's saved up a whole bunch of rubies just buying like 10 of the same driver.
Yeah.
And just immediately maxing out whatever the Spotlight driver is. Because that would feel almost like the optimal play if you've got the rubies to do it.
Really would, to be honest. I mean, Wales already did that, to be honest, because you could reset a pipe.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And there was no telling where in the pipe you can get it, so theoretically you could get a character in your first 10 pull, reset the pipe, by chance get it again within your next 2 10 pulls.
But that's very luck-based and a risk to take, rather than just being able to buy the same character over and over and over again.
But I think the same people would end up doing it the same way in this, except for the fact that they'd be saving money in the long run, probably because they're not spending money to chance, they're spending money directly on it.
Which also, like, I mean, I guess if the characters are always available, but if they weren't available, could you reset the Spotlight shop to give people another chance of getting more Spotlights? It's going to be weird, interesting to see how it's structured, I think, to let people have access and how far back they let people have access. And if the Spotlight shop is available, does this mean they're not going to bother ever adding anything else to the main pool now? Like the daily select shop?
Oh, that's true.
Like, if there's no reason to, if they're always available there, and it would in fact be more of a disadvantage for Nintendo for people buying stuff, because they're effectively making it so that you can now buy this racer with coins as opposed to rubies.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, maybe that's something that they'll want to do for older ones anyway. Who knows? It's such a big change, and it changes so much of the core game that there's so many questions that need answering that we probably
And
won't find out till
hopefully-
it drops.
And hopefully they do a good job answering those day one of that update.
Yes, because we got the Mario and Luigi tour next, which I feel is really weirdly placed. I feel like this should be the first battle tour.
Yeah, I was like, can that just be the first battle tour, please? Because I don't like team rallies, honestly. I don't like having my ranked cup messed up because my teammate's actually in first place and none of my items are gonna hit them. Like,
yeah, that's annoying. I like the team rallies because they usually have better stuff in the coin, the token one.
They
but
do have good rewards.
Yeah, I can imagine it being a massive pain in the bum when you're so high up the ranks for it to be messed up. So in fact, I need to get in the top 3 this tour so I can get 50th, so that I don't have to get rank 50, so I can get the silver me, so I don't have to worry about it in the next tour.
Yeah, I hope after this team rally we see a shift where team rallies are tied to the battle mode exclusively, because I think they'll actually be more fun there. Team battle mode stuff usually is more fun in Mario Kart. Team races, a lot less so.
Yeah, it's I don't mind team races so much, but team battle mode is the way to go. I mean, it should be team mode, really. Yeah, but it seems really weird having this rally tour here, especially just having it Mario and Luigi again. They want Luigi to win again this time, but...
Oh yeah, they're clearly rigging it in Luigi's favor by giving him the only new alt.
Well, you say this, but the first Mario and Luigi tour also gave Luigi the alt. It gave him it gave him Builder Luigi, and Builder Mario was already in the game. It didn't help him there. So I was tricked by Luigi last time. I'm going all in Mario this time. But yeah, Luigi Raceway as well, I suppose. But
I'm excited about the course at least.
Yeah, we now have all the retro tracks from Mario Kart 7 once this is in.
Yeah,
and there's only 3 tracks.
One note, by the way. One note, by the way, about because I just remembered with the Spotlight shop. I think they won't have everyone available, like all spotlights ever available, because that's going to be the tour right after the anniversary tour.
Yes.
And what I actually think they'll do is the anniversary tour is going to bring back most of those spotlights as spotlights and pipes, as like a last hurrah to the pipes. As weird as that sounds.
I could see that. I'm sort of really iffy on what I want to be doing. I'm like, should I just keep holding on to my rubies now until the tour after the anniversary and then just use them to get what I want, or should I use them all in the anniversary, which is what my original plan was, because I assumed we'd get better odds or something.
Yeah,
it's like I don't know what to do.
I might just end up saving unless there's something I really want that I don't already have.
Yeah.
Just so I'm ready for that shop.
Oh well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully Donkey Kong Jr. is one of the first ones, so I can finally get him. The only unique character I need.
He's broken. He has the most amount of frenzy courses.
Good.
He's in almost every race cup.
Give him to me. He's the only character I really, really wanted, and so of course he's the only one I don't have.
Of course.
Well, oh well. So I think we should probably move on to the last topic of today. Rather than talk any more Mario Kart Tour stuff. But if you want to hear more of Chris's opinion, the GameXplain discussion is a good place to go for that. And I will answer any questions people ask me on Discord about it, because I have thoughts. But yeah, so the final topic that we want to talk about was more of just a quick go-over for Splatoon 3, which comes out next Friday. And obviously last week there was the Splatfest Team Rock sweep. We did it.
Fuck you.
I knew it. I was actually really surprised to see that Team Rock got the most votes for.
Rock always win.
Yeah, exactly. Rock always win. It's very much they need to rebalance how these team things, like how the Splatfests are won.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because the fact that here in the U.S., the fact that Team Scissors was winning at halftime, but had 0 points, was in last place at the end of the Splatfest. Yeah, that needs some balance.
Yeah, it was the same over here in Europe as well. Scissors was the halfway marker and then just got absolutely destroyed after everything else was done. It's
it makes no sense.
It's just a weird way of doing it. I kind of get having points for if you're the team who got the most votes originally, But like, I guess clout is what decides the other points, and if it's really difficult to get clout when you're the winning team, when you're the one being bullied in the Tricolor Tour, then there's something needs changing because you'll never win at that point. It's almost better to throw the first half of the game so that you're not being bullied in the second half.
Really?
Yeah. But yeah, Splatoon 3. The Splatfest was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it a lot more than I have on the other Splatoon games. I really enjoyed the first one. I couldn't really get into 2 a lot, but I really did like this one, which people who watched mine and Matt's live stream of Splatoon can attest to. Winning on that aerospray and that shark bike is amazing. I love it. The shark special.
The Reef Slider.
Yes, Reef Slider is so good.
So fun.
But Phantom, because you haven't spoken at all in like the last 20 minutes because of Mario Kart. What were your thoughts after playing the Splatoon 3 demo?
I think so. It seems like the way that they're kind of trying to go about it this time around is to have it be more not utility based isn't the right word, but more competitive. So you have aspects like the whole the super jump when you're on the or super they're already the whole jump you do to get like boost that
Phantom, sorry, you're cutting out. I can't really hear what you're saying.
hold on.
Oh, he's dropped out. All right, he's back. Try again.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. Why does this happen right when I?
Yeah, right when it's your turn.
God. So what was it? It seems like they're going about it in a more competitive aspect because you have the jump where you're on the wall and if you hold it you get like a higher jump and like it actually gives you enough air time to shoot down somebody. Then you also have like the flick though that the it's not a dodge roll but it might as well be just a dodge roll. The flick jump. That's things like that. The flick jump is going to be harder to use in some aspects because you have to remember that you can only do it while going in like a opposite direction. You can't like just do it going forward. As for the whole jump, I'm glad that they added something like that because already one thing that I would do in Splatoon 2 a lot is I know that what I'm going to do is that I'm going to enter your base, and of course once you realize that I'm in your base, you're going to try to find me. You're gonna try to get me, but if I hide in a wall by eyeing the wall and just stay there, then it will allow me to just sit there and you won't know I'm there unless you end up shooting that specific spot. But if you do end up inching closer towards me, I could just easily like jump away, or I could already have a charge jump prepared to go up and then shoot you down, knowing that you're trying to get me. As for the supers, I like the crab tank a lot, but I also think that some of the other ones are really good. Like the one that's like the soda can dispenser, like where it's like you get a boost. That one's really good. As like a utility super. The reef slider.
Yeah, the
it's
shark
very
one.
funny.
Love it.
The shark one is very funny. I think it's very cute. What else? I don't like the killer whale 5.1. It feels like a combination of tennis missiles and the Stingray, but not the updated Stingray, as in like base Splatoon 2 Stingray, which was ass. It was not good. And Killer Whale doesn't. If I get that like it's supposed to trap you in and then kind of kill you. It doesn't feel like it does that. It feels like it just kind of trails off trying to follow you, but it doesn't do a good job at any of that.
Yeah.
The Inkazuka I didn't touch at all because none of the weapons that I wanted to play with had that. Ended up having that. What else was there? Oh, the Booyah Bomb's back. The Stamp is back, that's fine.
Stamp is ridiculous.
As for the new weapons, I wish I liked the Spatana and the what's it called?
The
The
bow and
action one?
arrow.
Yeah, the bow and arrow one. I don't like those because one of the things that I already have an issue with, like I like the blob lobber weapon, and what makes the blob lobber weapon so different is it's actually really good and it has a lot of distance to it. But already the ink brush and like the regular sloshers, you have to constantly press over and over, and that is annoying at a certain point. Is like not only will it hurt your finger, but you have to make sure you're also that you're when you're like actual in a situation where you're fighting against an enemy. Now you have to make sure that you're actually like constantly pressing it rapidly to make sure that they're not getting the best of you. And in a situation for like the bow and arrow, um, I don't this it has a good spread when you charge it, but the thing is that you have to charge it, which means that in a situation when somebody is close to you, they can just instantly wipe you out. Like no matter how fast you shoot, that person probably is going to uh spot you before if they just have a faster weapon. Same with the Splatana. It seems like the exact same issue, even though it has, I'd say, better range, without needing to charge it, without charging it or anything like that, or doing the jump, your jump splat or splash. It's also the same situation with like the brush. It's just that you have to keep pressing in. If when somebody gets close to you, uh, you are now in a situation where you need to press even more, I guess.
Hmm.
And that just gets grating over time. Um,
Yeah, I don't like the bow and arrow weapon. Partly because I feel like that weapon out of all of them is sort of designed to kill opponents and not cover the arena.
yeah,
And it's
which
like the whole point of Turf Wars is to cover the arena. That's like really should what the priority should be. The
and like
stuff.
I get it because like stingers, stingers are already like for like you kill an opponent, like you snipe them, like that's the whole point. Like yeah, you
Hmm.
can cover range, you can cover like a long, um, vertical, like a vertical range,
Hmm.
but it's really for killing. Same, but then you have something like the what's it called? Is it called Splatling? No, no, not Splatling. What the fuck is it called? Oh no, yeah, it's the Hydra Splatling, whatever it's called. Uh, that the one that you have to charge up, and then there's like rapid fire shots from like, but like you move very slowly while you're doing it. That like can cover a lot of ink, but also is very good at killing people. And also, I think that in Splatoon 3, at least with the maps that I got to play on, it seemed like they added a lot more spots in those new maps where a Splatling can just stand there and be like in the middle of the stage and completely dominate. It's going to be very hard for somebody to get to them, which is kind of scary because I know some very good Splatling players. But unlike yeah, like the bow and like at least with a weapon like that, you can keep your distance, and then like just mow down opponents if needed while also covering turf. But with like any regular like a roller or like any regular like just gun, you can cover turf and also be in already in good standing. Where if you're in a close quarter situation, you can just depending on your movement, that's what the benefit of how you best that person. Whereas with the new bow and arrow, it feels like a little bit with the Splatana as well. You with the Splatana, I mean, you're good. You can be somewhat good in close quarters,
Hmm.
but it in regards to actually like inking the turf, that's where those weapons kind of fail, and I like doing both. And that's a shame to me because I really like the Splatana's design, and I wish that it was two new weapons that I enjoyed, rather than two new weapons that I ended up not liking.
Yeah.
Because now that's kind of like, I mean, like that's not the only thing that Splatoon 3 is offering, of course, but like
Hmm.
in terms of like hey, here's some new gameplay elements in terms of like how you can play the game. Oh, I don't like these, and
Yeah,
that
it's a
kind of
big thing
sucks.
if there's brand new weapons and you don't like them. I mean, that's one of the big draws of it. But if you're
Yeah.
not a fan of it, that does impact it, of course.
I think I
I mean,
enjoyed the
I did like everything else though.
Splatana. I think I enjoyed the Splatana a bit. It wasn't one of my main weapons of choice, but I sort of you just have to get really up close and personal with people for it to be super effective.
Yeah.
But I didn't like the bow and arrow. The specials were much better, and for me, I didn't realize that I had that I had been using the like soda pop grenade where you have to shake it
Yeah.
before you throw it. So
Uh,
I thought I just had a really weak explosive the entire time, and I only found out
nah.
after the fact. So that's something I need to test out. The sub weapons are always sort of the thing I forget about the most in Splatoon games.
Really?
Yeah, I know I really shouldn't, but
That's so
I,
good.
I always sort of focus on shooting and specials and not using the sub weapons at all. But I
Mm.
feel like that's something I need to change, especially with that one, because it did feel very weak when it wasn't shaken up at all.
Yep.
And what about you, Tress? What did you think of the Splatoon 3 stuff?
It's definitely grabbing me more than the past games did, mostly because of like the added way to like group up with friends and actually, I guess, embrace the multiplayer even more than before. From what I've played so far, I've had a better time with it than the first two games because they didn't really grab me that much before. But this time, from playing a bit in Splatfest and all, like it definitely feels fun, and I'm looking forward to the game actually releasing, getting to play with friends, and that's basically the main extent of my thoughts on it.
Yeah, I think it's kind of the same. Or for me, I'm looking forward to it on Friday. I still need to pre-order it actually, but I will be. I do plan on streaming it a bit. I think both Phantom and I were going to stream it on Friday.
Nice.
Do a bit more of that and just get to fresh level and stream Splatfest and actually try and take part in this a bit more. Because I did enjoy doing that in Splatoon 1 and then just sort of fell off of it entirely. But this game has all the sort of quality of life features I expected to be added in Splatoon 2 and just weren't. So now it might be a bit more reasonable to play through. Matt, do you have any thoughts you want to add on Splatoon 3 at all?
I enjoyed Splatoon 3. What little I played of it. I really liked it a lot more than I did with Splatoon 2. I enjoyed the first game. I fell off hard with Splatoon 2. I just couldn't get into it. There were a few hiccups with connection, but that was
Nintendo way.
to be expected because it was like a test of their network systems. So hopefully they can fix that when the game like properly launches and stuff. I don't know if I'm going to pick it up because I don't have money to do that, but I would like to play it.
Yeah. Just have to see if there's any sales or anything at some point.
Yeah.
Did Splatoon 2 ever go on sale? I actually don't know.
Yeah, it's like $40.
Oh, okay.
I ended up getting Splatoon 2 like pre-owned, I think.
Okay. So, alright, I think Phantom, unless you've got anything to say, we've sort of overran what we'd usually do for this, so I'm ready to wrap it up unless you have anything else you want to add.
I'm just waiting for the game to come out because, of course, the main, like I know like the whole like Turf War aspect, like the biggest part of that's what you're gonna be doing most of. But like with there being so many additions, like right then I still need more time to practice that like those new things because I would like to get really good at them, and I didn't do that as much in the Splatfest. So it's like I'm just eagerly waiting to get my hands on the full game because once I do, then I can see everything else. Because it's not just like, of course, Turf War isn't the only thing that's being changed. It's like all the other, like I still have to experiment with like the new weapons, the new sub weapons, especially the supers. And then also like all the other modes and like customization as well. Like all of that is like the customization is also really good in this game. Jeez, it's crazy how much they're adding. But at this point, I just feel like we have to wait for the review because the Splatfest world premiere was just one small part of the game. Everything else that they're adding is there's so much more to this game that we'd have to play. So I was like, I'm just eagerly waiting at this point. That's all.
Well, I imagine we'll find out this week. Well, I mean, we have to find out this week because the Splatoon comes out on Friday. I imagine we'll find out midweek, maybe before or after this the rumored Nintendo Direct. I guess we'll just have to see. But an exciting week, nonetheless, and hopefully, if there is a Direct this week, we'll do Good Morning Source Gaming next Sunday to talk about it. And we can compare to this week and see how many of these rumored games actually showed up. But right, yeah, I think that's about it for this episode. I think 2 hours and 15 minutes is a good time to wrap up, and kind of want to go and have some food because it's my evening now. So, Tris, why don't you let people know where they can find you?
Yep. As you can see on screen, you can find me on Twitter at Tintris or over on GameXplain, making a lot of content, especially depending on the games coming out.
Yeah, go and listen to that Mario Kart Tour discussion, because I tried to avoid some of the same topics as that one. So there's a lot more there for people to listen to. And of course, you can subscribe to Source Gaming if you haven't already. Get all of the good juicy content from there. The Mega Smash Bros stuff, you should be seeing that really, really soon.
Yeah, it's exciting.
It is. Man, I've worked hard on this. So
When did you start working on that again? Because I feel like it's been 3 months or even more now.
I don't remember when we started working on looking through the data for it.
I jumped in around June.
Yeah,
I think.
I think it's been something like that. But the first episode of that is already recorded. I just need to put the video together. So that's going to be fun. That's my project for this week. And I mean, to be honest, my project's to get more than one episode done this week. I've got to try and get as many done as possible. Because I wanted to get more done before EGX. So yeah, yay. But anyway, look forward to all of that. And subscribe so you don't miss it. Right, I hope everyone has a good rest of their Sunday. And keep on gaming, I guess. Alright, later.
No. Oh, wait, good morning. Not good night.